So that way that started now.
All right.
Never get Tom on the show again.
Yep. Daddy gave me a name, and then he walked away. My Tommy gave me a name.
That's funny. I like that.
Well, I mean, there's always something.
Mm-hmm.
You better be working on that TFG product. That's all I know.
He's not.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna say he's recording with Carson. I mean, he is, but I don't know when.
Who knows?
And I guess he prefers to do the pod save instead.
Well, whatever. I guess he's going to be off the podcast soon anyway. Okay, moving on.
We're going to hold a Patreon contest for who's going to replace Tom.
That'd be amazing, actually.
It'd be like the Rick and Morty wheel of Tom replacement.
Wheel of Tom.
Did you see that? You haven't seen that, John?
No.
So in the season, I know you don't care about the show more or less, but in the season finale, they have another argument, and he's like, "I can replace you with anything," and he literally has a wheel of like other options.
Other options for Morty.
Yeah, for Morty, and it ends up on two crows.
Nice.
Then that whole goes off on a whole tangent, and they
Of
do
course.
a Samurai Jack rip off using the two crows.
Nice.
What's Samurai Jack?
What?
I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
Nah, that's just the sea lion. Look at his fucking smug smile. Look at that fucking smug smile.
This is a Cartoon Network thing, right?
Uh-huh. Oh, that's right. I mean,
Adult
John
Swim.
didn't have Cartoon Network until he was like a man.
I didn't have Cartoon Network until I was like out of high school.
Yeah.
What's funny is
I'm aware of what Samurai Jack is, but I've never seen an episode.
It's really good.
Yep.
Or
Exceedingly good. Did you ever end up starting to watch Cowboy Bebop?
no.
Yeah, you should. Just saying.
I just don't watch stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's one season, self-contained story.
I literally don't get how people watch things. Like, I don't, like, where do you have the time?
On the phone, in the toilet.
No.
Well,
I'll
I'm
watch
in front
something
of
on
a
my phone. My phone's tiny. I'm going to watch it on a screen. Like, I just don't get it.
I'm
Like,
computer all day.
Well, your kids are also old enough to like dominate the TV, like for like movie nights and stuff. Where
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the only time I watch a lot of TV is when we do movie nights and things because, like, I just don't do it on my own. I'd rather paint or play a video game or read a book or, I don't know, go to the game store. Like,
no, these are all superior options.
You can.
I mean, trust me, if I lived closer to Gameology, it would definitely be like, okay, the kids are in bed. We're not really, doing too much, or wife has to do some work or something. And be like, I'm just gonna pop over to the game store for a little bit.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm at home and while working, I just do it during lunch or my breaks.
Right.
Yeah.
I did watch stuff. So when we were doing remote learning, and we had the like amended schedule, and we had to like give them a certain amount of time to work on stuff, I ended up with like a lot more like 20-minute snippets of time here and there. That's how I watched The Expanse.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Because I was like, okay, I can leave it loaded on one screen. I could teach my lesson, and then when I've got the 20 minutes of nothing to do till my next one, I would just watch like 20 minutes of The Expanse. And that's how I literally watched all, 4 seasons?
Right.
I don't know how I'm going to manage the 5th season.
I'll find it. I'll find a way. Life finds a way.
I actually enjoyed it so much that I did come home and was watching at night sometimes. I would sit down and watch 2 episodes, but then I'd be like, what the hell? I didn't even do anything with my life. I didn't even do anything with my night.
That's why I have nothing painted.
Yeah, I guess Carrick-Wynn's right. He says, so you have time to make a personal decision that's different than no time. I guess.
I mean, it's true.
Because I mean,
it's honestly
even if
probably
I had
far
more free
healthier
time-
to like read and paint and play video games and just watch TV.
Even if I had more free time, I still wouldn't want to spend it sitting in front of a TV screen doing nothing. Like, there are times where it's family movie night and I'm sitting there like, what am I doing? Why am I wasting 2.5 hours?
So much for bonding with your family.
I'm not bonding. Everybody's staring at the screen.
Ah.
Anyways,
You're together.
I'm gonna go ahead and count us in because Tom's not coming.
All right.
Clearly.
All right, go ahead.
Ready, Adam? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of TFG Radio. I am your host, Adam. With us always is Danny.
Hey.
And back again on the Wheels of Steel is John.
Hello.
John the Mute.
No, I just said hello. And I waved for
John,
the people on the video stuff.
Yeah, John only cares about the Twitch
stuff.
viewers, not the podcast listeners.
Plebs.
And missing again is Tom, so we'll see what happens.
He said he'd be here.
He said he would be here, but
Again,
maybe he's got his days messed up. Who knows?
Can we find a way to, without copyright infringement, cut in that Everclear song?
No, we can't, unfortunately. And I think even
what happened to me?
I don't know. You just
Oh no, my camera just decided to die on me on my laptop. That's awesome.
Well, at least you don't have to do remote teaching anymore, right?
Yeah, I think it's. Oh, you know what it probably is. I probably have a driver I have to update. This happened to me a bunch when I was remote teaching.
Probably. It's okay. I'm gonna switch over to the memes. I got a lot of good memes loaded this time.
Okay, good.
All right, I'm going to do that.
Memes for the memes god.
Airborne 248 says yes. Art Alexakis's legal department is a huge threat.
I mean, that guy's got to be up. That guy's got to be hard up for money.
It's
He
not
probably
his legal
jumped on
team.
it.
It's like if it's on Warner Brothers is the worst, man. Like you put something on
Warner
Facebook
Brothers
and they're like, Warner Brothers is like, take that down.
You know, it's one of those funny things. I think people are maybe too young, or there's too many people who are too young to appreciate of, like, you know, with all the ballyhoo about like GW, you know, basically not, you know, enforcing their IP law, you know, their IP rules, which are already, you know, established, and Critical Role doing it, and a bunch of other companies getting much more aggressive with IP. It's like, y'all weren't alive in the 90s when like Napster was hot and Metallica was like, oh, hey, we're really famous now. We're going to lock down on that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god. Still have my LimeWire account.
Oh, LimeWire.
Some of y'all aren't old enough to have given your computer AIDS downloading free music, and it shows.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
I certainly have bricked a fair number of hard drives because of downloading movies or music.
Yes.
Enter Sandman.exe. Cool, I'll try it. Dad, what's an exe file? Son, don't open that.
See, it's just the one advantage of having a older brother who was very into computers, but also got into patent law. Was like when all of that was going down, and it's like, oh my god, you're gonna get sued. And he's like, no, it's really easy. Well, it's like, here's how you adjust your settings in Napster and LimeWire where people can't download from you, right? You never upload to the system. And I was like, well, what does that do? And he's like, well, because downloading music and things like that isn't illegal. Sharing it is, like uploading it to other people. So you can download all you want, just don't share.
Right.
I was like, oh, well, okay.
Keeps you
I was like, this way. Yep.
Yeah.
Keeps you out of Metallica's crosshairs.
Yeah.
So we had a very busy last couple of weeks. Danny went to a tournament, as did I. John kept busy being John.
Mm-hmm. Reenactments.
Yeah. Danny actually went to a tournament.
I did.
Get away. It just wasn't a 40K tournament.
Nope.
But it was a GW tournament.
It was a Games Workshop tournament. It counts. It counts.
Why don't you tell us how it went, Danny, and what it was?
Well, it was Age of Sigmar. It was Gameology Pasadena's our fine sponsor, and you know, things like that. They hosted their very first Age of Sigmar 3.0 tournament at that location. You know, it was good especially for Age of Sigmar, and the very first event there was 8 players. So you know, got a full, you know, proper 3-game tournament in. I ended up going 2-1, bringing my Lizardmen. Played the first game against Lumineth, which, you know, if I might as well buzz them now. If you listen to Party at the All Points, are, you know, the AOS podcast in our Grand Alliance. Lumineth will get brought up every now and then. There's just this kind of really oppressive kind of like, the Admech or Drukhari of Age of Sigmar, essentially, is the way I'd put it. They just have really brutal shooting, and a lot of tricks, and it's very hard to engage them. But I really thought I was going to lose that game, and I was just happy to be out of the house and playing. So I just kind of sent big monsters towards them, and enough survived to get in their lines, and that was kind of game over.
Nice.
And then, had a few nitro stout beers at lunch, and that was nice. And kind of heckling all the LSU fans who swarmed downtown Pasadena, or Old Town Pasadena. There were so many LSU fans;
LSU,
it was insane.
UCLA.
Yep. And then round 2, I played against Ogres and got absolutely annihilated because my army was pretty much all big monsters, and his army was pretty much all things that eat big monsters. So that went very poorly for me. And it's one of those weird things. If you're a melee army in Age of Sigmar, you never want to go first because it's very hard to get first turn charges. So you can't really like Alpha Strike. So I had to go first, which sucked. And because he had less drops than me, and that he got to decide who goes first or second. When you do deployment, it's instead of like the old way in 8th edition where if you finished deploying first, you got +1 to the roll to see who goes first. In Age of Sigmar, it's just whoever finishes deploying first gets to decide who goes first. Who has the officers. So he made me go first. So I positioned as best I could, but I could not stop just all that beef hitting me unless I just kind of yielded the mission and like sat in my deployment zone. And then the third game I played a wrecked teammate, Dom. And again, another game I was expecting to lose, but I brought Lord Croak, who's just an amazing model. And I love that model, and I've loved that model for decades. And it's basically a hard counter to his army because his army is very magic reliant, and he has very little minimum troops. And Lord Croak is just amazing. He's basically a one model psychic phase or command phase in AOS, so he just shut everything. Dom, I think, cast like 2 spells the entire game. Everything else was dispelled.
What army was he playing?
Sylvaneth, the Tree People, with Alariel, with the big girl, and his Alariel's beautiful. I mean, Dom's a great painter, but his army is gorgeous. And so I managed to win. I got a good early lead, and then Dom is a much better player than me and started eking his way back. But I won by like 4 points because I just did enough to like, I ran up a big lead. Now run away. That was it. So it was a good time. 2-1 for my first outing. It's not too bad. I was like 6 battle points away from 3rd place, and I was apparently 3rd best painted, which competing against Dom or who won best painted or Matt Wilson, that's real tough. I was surprised I was even 3rd. It was a good time. I really enjoyed it. There's now going to be monthly AOS tournaments at Gameology on the first Saturdays of the month. With SoCal open next month, I really doubt I'm going to be able to go. But if I had a chance, I definitely would again. I'd also like to go to the 40K RTTs and just play. But it was fun. It was an enjoyable experience. I'm glad I did it. I don't think I would. I'm not quite ready to say like, I'll jump to AOS and focus on AOS for blah blah blah. Like I'm not about to do that. But I enjoy it. It's definitely a fun game. And hopefully Gameology Pasadena will start drawing more of the local players in and getting a decent crowd because again, it's a fun game to play. I've really not had like it's too frustrating of a game yet. So it's always kind of been, even where I got destroyed, it's also because I'm like, well, I'm playing a fucking skew list. I have like a bunch of big dinosaurs and that's about it. Right. And so I'm going to run into armies that just pick that up easy as pie. And that's what happened. So, but I wasn't mad about it. I was just like, oh shit, here we go. It's like super fun to be hard countered.
So is it time to buy some dragons?
I am definitely. I know my son loves the Storm. My GW knows what they're doing. My 5-year-old son adores Space Marines, and he's now jumped ship to Salamanders. Right. Before he was Ultramarines, which really killed my soul because he liked the blue. Now he's into the Salamanders because they're green and they have flames. And they have like a dragon iconography. Salamanders, Space Marines, Salamanders. And then he loves Stormcast. Like, he just thinks they're the coolest things. And when he saw that there are dragon models coming out, he's like, yeah, so we're getting those, right?
Oh,
I was like, yeah. So, I mean, you can make some pretty funny ass lists with those dragons. It's kind of like the Archeon approach of what's the least amount of product I have to buy to build a 2,000 point list.
Sold.
Right.
Yeah.
Sold. Big monsters, small number of models, can keep it at the store. Perfect. Sold.
Yeah, I mean, because the AOS app just dropped finally. It's like a month and a half overdue. And so I've been building lists, and the dragons, just the little dragon riders are insane. Like the big dragons aren't like too impressive from what I've seen, but like the little dragons, the dragon riders are amazing because all of them just have this inbuilt. They do mortal wounds and shooting, right? So like their shooting is just like roll. You don't roll to hit. You just, if they're in range on a 1, nothing happens. 2 to 5 D3 wound, or 3 and 4, D3 wounds, and then 5 and 6 D6 mortal wounds, right, on all of them. So you have a unit of like 4 that could be 4d3, 4d6, some combination thereof, right, of mortal wounds and just shooting. And then they fight pretty well. And the craziest thing to me is they just get this bonus like once per game in the command phase. So in the hero or the hero phase, whatever they call it in AOS, they just get a free move. And if they end up within 12 inches of a enemy, they can attempt to charge on a 2+ as well. So they could theoretically go 24 inches in the command phase. And if you don't make your charge, you can still just move in the movement phase and then charge later.
Well, okay then.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, it's just so I was thinking of a list of just like, okay, what's the max unit I can take? Just one big ass blob and be like, just first turn, just here's a bunch of dragons in your face. Fuck it. YOLO.
I like it. Seems legit.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, that was fun. And thanks to Party at the All Points, I feel like I actually kind of knew what armies did without ever having played them, just because I've listened to their catalog. And I'm like, oh, okay, I know what Sentinels do. They're bad. I should try and deal with them quickly.
Nice.
Even though I'd never ever played Lumineth before, so it was a good time. Let me finish up all my league games for the little SoCal AOS league that we had going, and so
Okay.
I actually got to complete a league, which was nice. Which I'll not have time to do this fall, but hey, there it is.
Right. So, I went to our store's 40K RTT. And I had to take. Normally, I just play regular chaos. I had to take the Thousand Suns, which are still primed, because we were using it as for one of our league games that I had to play. And the guy was leaving, going out of town, and he wouldn't be back for like a week, and the league would have been over by then. So he really wanted to get that game in. So I ended up playing Kyle and his Harlequin / Eldari mixed force, and that one was so with that one was fine. I ended up losing by about like 9 points or something. It was like within like 10 points.
That's pretty good.
Luckily, they don't count painting towards the scores.
Just at the RTTs, right?
Is that the RTT where they do? So for the RTT score, he got the extra 10 for being painted, but for the league score, he did not get the extra 10. So I only lost.
Oh, right. 10. Got it.
Yeah. So, and the paint score will come into play later in the tournament. We only got to like turn 3, because we both had a lot of like psychic and moving and shooting and all this other stuff. I'm not. If the game had kept on going, I'm not sure how the game would have gone. I think it was kind of in the balance. I didn't have many units left, but what I did have was very shooty because I changed the list to include. So when I played you, John, I had the Hell Brutes and I had the Hell Brutes, but I switched the Hell Brutes out for the Contemptors with Volkite,
right?
And I was able to afford them by dropping the Infernal Master, because with my army I didn't feel he was doing that much.
Okay.
Because he's like 90 points.
Yeah, I don't think he was doing much.
So dropping the Hell Brutes plus the Infernal Master, I was able to get the 2 Contemptors, and they kind of played a part because they shoot everything on the board. Everybody knows what Volkite Contemptors can do. So
yes,
and I still had one that was alive at the end of turn 3. So if we had kept on going, I think I could have killed a few more units. I don't know if I would still win because it's still Eldar, and they move much faster than I do, and I was starting to lose units. But with the army overall, since I've been playing all these games, unlike regular Chaos Space Marines, because they're only 1 wound and don't have all their unique secondaries, things like that. There were times when I played Chaos Space Marine that I felt like, okay, well, it's turn 1. There's basically no way I'm getting back in this game. Or it was a struggle or uphill struggle to kind of get back into the game or get within striking distance at the very least. With the Thousand Suns, I feel like I always have a chance, if that makes sense.
Right.
With the extra wound, the slight extra durability, not as good as Death Guard, but just with the 5+ save and the extra wound and the all is dust, especially against armies like Eldar that have a lot of damage 1 guns. At least he does. I was rolling a lot of 2s, so fortunately I had the all of dust roll saved my units a lot.
Nice.
And I never felt like helpless during any of my games, even when I lose. Like when I played you, I felt like I was losing, but I didn't feel like it was out of reach. I guess that's how I would put it. Whether it was it usually came down to my choice of poor secondaries, usually, which I need to work on, and I still need. And the psychic part, I'm starting to get down, so that goes a little bit quicker. I just do need to remember which stratagems are most useful for my army, and then I think I can get it down to fairly quick. To do fairly quick turns. But so that was the first game I lost. Then also lost the league game. There's one league game I have left, but I don't think I'm going to get to it because the league ends this weekend.
Yeah, same.
And so the second game, I basically got the bye. Usually when I play in tournaments, because I'm judging or playing it so much, because I actually do play a lot, just not a lot of tournaments, I usually take the bye just to let other people play, because we have people driving from like Central California to our event,
right?
So they can play. And I wanted to give everybody else the chance to play, because I can play literally whenever I want. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, we are playing all the time. We just don't play in tons of tournaments because we do other stuff.
Yeah, and weekends are just, I don't know. At least for me, weekends are a pain in the ass to be able to get time away. That's family time,
Yeah, so like if Danny was there at a tournament, and let's say Danny lost the first round, but I know he doesn't get out a lot to play, I would just take the bye, and I lost too. I would just take the bye, and just so Danny or anybody else that either traveled a long way or doesn't get to play very often, things like that, or it's the first tournament or something.
Do you see the questions in the chat, Adam?
Yeah, I see them.
Okay.
I'll answer it after I get to the third round, because I didn't play a second round, more or less.
Got
it. Third round, I played Chris, who's on our team, and he brought Space Wolves. So it was, and Chris is always good to play with. It was actually Chris's first tournament, and Chris normally plays a narrative. So,
or our leagues. He plays in our leagues too, even the non-narrative ones, when he has the time.
But Chris, no.
Yeah.
No. This is his first.
No, the leagues. He'll play in our leagues sometimes.
Oh, right. So this is the first RTT or tournament that he's been to. So he was getting used to it and getting used to playing. His army had Wolfen, Thunderwolf Cav, 2 Murder Fangs, a Redemptor, and a Contemptor. They look beautiful, by the way. His army's like custom conversions and very beautifully painted. So it makes my army look like shit, even if it was fully painted.
His Space Wolves are beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's always been a great painter.
So we ended up playing our game. He ended up going first. I tried a strat where I can put a unit of rubrics anywhere else on the table 9 inches away from a enemy unit or his deployment zone. But the problem is it costs 2, and I start the game with 5, so I actually start the game with 3. But I wanted to try it. I threw my big flamer unit out there, kind of like daring him to charge me and see what would happen. So we ended up playing as the game progressed. he made a couple mistakes with his unit placements. I actually, because of my unit, I take the dark matter crystal, which is it's called something else now, but that's more or less what it is.
Yeah.
And I actually moved them to kind of screen for the Flamer squad because he was going to charge. Otherwise, he would charge them with the Redemptor and Contemptor, who both had power Dreadnought close combat fist and at least one. So he ended up eating into the Zangors instead, which left me open to kill the Redemptor and the Contemptor with the Flamers and the Psychic, the Smite. We ended on turn 3. We had a draw, but because his army was painted, he got the bonus 10 points and I did not, so I got the loss, and he ended up 2-1.
Yeah, not bad.
No, I mean for his first tournament, it's not bad at all. He did. There were a few mistakes. If the game had continued, I would have won because at the bottom of 3, he only had the 2 Murder Fangs, which was like I was as far away as possible from them. He had 2 Murder Fangs.
You mean Wolf and Dreads?
Or Wolf and
Murder Fangs the character.
Oh yeah, they were Wolf and Dreads. Sorry, not Murder Fangs. Murder Fangs the character.
Do you even Space Wolf?
2 Wolf and Dreads. Well, I don't Space Wolf, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
He plays Thousand Suns. Of course, he doesn't Space Wolf.
So
they all run away from a
2
vacuum cleaner, so it's okay.
So he had 2 Wolf and Dreads, which I stayed away from. They only killed like 1 Rubric squad during the game. And then I still had my 2 Contemptors. I still had a bunch of Terminators left. I still had the Flamer Rubrics. I even still had the Zangors left. I had like 2 Zangors left. And all he had were the 2 Wolf and Dreads and his Phobos Librarian. And that was it on turn 3. So if the game he made a couple mistakes, and we talked about it afterwards, what he probably should have done. But I think if the game if we had continued, then I probably would have killed maybe the Wolf and Dread. I would at least stayed away so the Wolf and Dread couldn't kill anything. So
right.
But it was fun. Like I said, it's the psychic powers. In the use of the psychic powers, I more or less have down, especially with the quick rolling and the cabal points, things like that. I almost have the cabal points memorized in terms of their cost and their use. So for me right now, it's just a matter of getting their stratagems and which ones to use when.
Right.
So I had fun. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, in every game, I feel like I'm in the game and there's a chance for me to win. I just got to figure out and choose the right secondaries. Questions was where's it at? KR Quinn is asking if I feel that Sisters of Silence is a threat. Well, you'll probably see them on the table at least. I haven't seen anybody take Sisters of Silence locally anyway.
Yeah, no.
When I go to the Las Vegas team tournament next week, we'll see if there's how many players take Sisters of Silence or the Calexis. Is it Calexis? Was that the Psyker one?
The Calexis, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't there something that I thought Tommy was saying, something that Thousand Suns have a relic or something that basically nukes the Calexis?
So the Thousand Suns have a relic called it's some weird name. The second name is Orrery, Orrery, and what that does is in the command phase, the character that has the relic, if he can see a unit, range doesn't matter. He chooses that unit, and any friendly models within 6 inches of that character ignore any changes to weapon skill, ballistic skill, any plus or minuses to hit, and any damage reduction. So like the Contemptor -1 damage, or Mortarion's -1 damage. Those are negated. So if he happens to be out in the open and being able to be shot, then yeah, I ignore the make their ballistic skill 6. So it's kind of like the Dark Reaper ability, where it always hits on 3s.
Got it. Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
It's pretty good.
So that's the anti-Calexis
Right.
relic, basically. But I don't know. Maybe, I mean, with all the guns, with all the shooting that especially at -2, yes, the shooting's after the psychic phase, but I mean, maybe there'll be that one turn where I can't use psychers around them, and then because they have to be. I think they have to be outside of the vehicle. Then after that, it's not an issue. I don't think. I mean, again, I haven't seen anybody taking them.
Yeah,
So,
I haven't either. Just depends.
There was another question.
If Thousand Suns becomes super popular, then yeah, I would imagine.
Well, I mean, either that or Grey Knights. I mean, you're seeing a lot. There were at the Hammer Rat, there was at least 4 or 5 Grey Knight players.
Yeah.
You know, and we're seeing a lot of them pop up, especially in the top 5, top 10.
I think people are sleeping on Grey Knights. I think people were too busy still freaking out about Admech, Drukhari, and now Orcs, and they're sleeping on the fact that I think Grey Knights are pretty good.
Yeah. I think Airborne is saying he thinks it's the Cabal points are really what makes, you know, Thousand Suns more potent, and which is true because
you get Chaos Acts of Faith. It's great.
Yeah.
Except instead of having to generate random things, you just get stuff and get to spend it. It's a lot easier bookkeeping than the Act of Faith thing, where you have to roll and now I have this dice and I can replace this dice with this dice, but where's your pool again? Oh, you're keeping it over behind that building where I can't see it. Cool. So, you've had 4 6s. Awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot. It helps mitigate that randomness in regards to what your psychic rolls. You get the +1 for just being Thousand Suns, and then you can add either +1 or +2,
right?
Depending on what you really need and what you want to do. And there's a one that lets you auto pass, which is really kind of cool when you want to do the super smite. Because when you chain enough smites that you get to 10 or 11 or 12, or to actually 11 or 12, then you just use that if you have the Cabal points left over, and it's automatically a super smite. So it's a lot of fun. I think Grey Knights, like John is saying, is people are sleeping on Grey Knights because the combos I don't think are as obvious as Thousand Suns. And so I think you really have to work on the Grey Knights to see.
Yeah, and it's harder to play than Admech, Drukhari, or Orcs, where you point and kill. And
well, right now everybody's playing the buggies with the Orcs, and I'm seeing a lot of those in regards to the conversions and stuff. Yeah. So,
KR Coin is saying there's 8 armies this weekend at Iron Halo that are Grey Knights.
That's a lot.
I always think that since 5th. To win with Grey Knights, you had to just be a better player. So, I don't think a lot of players have Grey Knights just lying around, but lots of people had Adeptus Mechanicus pieces. A lot of people had Drukhari pieces because of all the nonsense in 7th edition and 8th edition with allies. I think a lot of people had pieces of that stuff lying around. But not Grey Knights.
I still don't think that Grey Knights or Thousand Suns are at the same level as, or they're not going to be. You're not going to see them at the same level as the top 3, or 4, I guess, if you count. But I think Danny had always talked about this with Tyranids, especially with Jeff Robinson's quote regarding that's because top players don't want to do the extra work,
right, to make them work. Yeah,
and I think that's true of this also. It is a lot of work to get Thousand Suns and Grey Knights to work. Not a lot of work, but it takes work. It's not as easy as buying 15 buggies and then just running that.
Yeah, the exception to that rule has always been Eldar and Sean Naden.
Yes,
he'll always just try to make that work, and he'll make it work somehow. But all the other top players jump from great army to great army.
Well, yeah, because it's easier to play.
Yeah,
I think
easier to play great army to easier to play great army, right?
Yeah, because I think they could I think they might be able to win with Thousand Suns and Grey Knights, but I mean it would take a lot more effort.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as.
And I don't know if the payoff. I don't know if the amount of losses they would get. Maybe that's what I don't know. To me, you lose, but you learn. Because they run a business, I don't know if they want to take that.
They can't afford to lose games
image.
and events.
Yeah, and I don't know if they go to RTTs or not.
I don't think most of them don't. When I go look through the top 10 players in the ITC each week, and you look at there, you click on them. A lot of them don't go to RTTs, at all. I think it was Colin McDade talked about it in my last interview I did with him, Where he's like, yeah, I don't really go to RTTs. To prepare, I just play games with people, and then like I go to GTs and majors.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them are like that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think the players, the top end players, don't want to risk a GT by, hey, let me try to learn this army.
Yeah,
I'm going to spend hundreds of dollars to try to learn this. I mean, they could practice. I mean, for me, RTTs are basically practice tournaments.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
I mean, I don't know why they would. I don't know. I don't understand why they wouldn't. I guess I could do. I don't know. If I was a high end, I would still go to RTTs if that's my job. If I'm trying to make money by.
See, at this point, the RTTs don't matter. Like we've been saying this for a little while. Like,
yeah,
I played 2 RTTs this year. The first 2 that they had at Gameology Pasadena, I played at. I played in the first GT at Gameology in Pasadena, but then my schedule, because of judging the GW events and stuff, hasn't let me play in any of the other ones. But like, if I wasn't doing that and I was doing for a living, I don't think I'd do the RTTs, because it'd be 3 games. Who knows who you'll play, like what the level of competition will be. Whereas like at a GT or a major, these players know that after the first day they'll definitely be playing quality players, and so the games will be better for them. Like, why go to an RTT where there's 8 to 25 players and like curb stomp all the local seals?
Well, no, I'm just saying for practice.
Well, for practice, they want quality practice, right? You don't want to play just. You don't want to go to an RTT and spend an entire day playing and play 3 guys who have no chance to beat you. And so because of that, you're sitting there and you're like, well, okay. It's like go to, let's say there's a local RTT that's 35 to 40 people. If the 35 to 40 people are not good, you're not getting anything quality out of the experience. If you're one of these top type players, if you're just if you're you and me, who cares? Go to an RTT, play anybody. The game is fun. I have a 25% chance of winning any game I play because I don't get 9th edition. I mean, I understand it, but I don't understand how to win it. Like, I just make all the wrong moves in 9th edition to win games. I make all the wrong ones.
I feel like for me, it's the secondaries.
Right. Yeah. Like, I'm picking secondaries and I pick good ones, but then I'm not, I don't know. I'm not good at making sure that I'm hitting all my secondaries, and making sure that I'm denying secondaries I can deny. Like, it's just, for me, that there's a lot moving, and so it's a little bit harder. I'm sure that with more practice I can do it. Although I've had a lot of practice. Like, I play a lot of games.
I feel like if I was a top player and if I was trying to make a living by coaching or whatever, that I would still go to the RTTs just to like press the flesh, so to speak.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't think I would.
I think I would. Well, that's because but you're like that now, so.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess a little bit. But like what I'm saying is, if I was going to practice for 3 hours, or if I was going to practice for 9 hours, 3 games, I'd line up the best players I know in the area to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, especially early on, if I'm just starting out as a 40K coach or whatever, I would still go to the RTTs to get the brand out there, and then as you play people and you're trying out your armor or whatever, you win and you can give them, because in my mind I would give them tips and say, hey, if you want more help, here's my service.
Yeah,
that's how I see the RTT.
I don't. I don't. But I also I think that they get enough followers off of all this publicity they do online. I don't think they're getting many new people from RTTs to sign up for their coaching services. I just think that quality practice is what matters the most, which is
I'm not.
So
I'm not
transitioned into the league talk. The league is coming to an end, and in the league, I think we did 3 rounds so far, and in the first 2 rounds, I was in pod 2, or is it 4 rounds?
Oh yeah, this is the third. This is the third heat.
The third heat. Sorry, I used the wrong terminology. So in the first 2 heats, I was in pod 2, and it was fine. And
Yeah. Now you're in pod 1.
now I got bumped up to pod 1. But I got to tell you, I learned more losing 4 games in pod 1 than I learned winning 4 games in pod 2. Because it's different players. The quality was different. The armies were different. Like, I played and lost to 4 really good armies with the exception of 1. And then I won 1 game because I took Deathwing. I played Imperium and I played Knights for all my games except for 1. I played Deathwing and I won the 1 game I played with Deathwing.
I thought you beat.
I beat Quan. I beat Danny Quan.
I thought that
was
nice.
No, I played Deathwing.
Deathwing on Deathwing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I've been in pod 1 for the last 2. I was in pod 2 for the first one. So yes, I think I have the same record, 1-4.
Nice. So I'm your 1 win.
Yeah, you're my one. You're my 1 win.
Well, you're the one army that wasn't very good that I lost to. So I was
that's funny. Well, I mean, I keep on facing the same people. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, because that's with being stuck in the same pod. Like, if you're in pod 1, you're always going to be playing the same people because a lot of the same players are in pod 1, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, being in pod 2, there were 2 players came down from pod 1, 2 players came up from pod 3. So that's an injection of 4 new players every heat.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of variety in my league opponents the first 2 heats. You don't because you're stuck in pod 1 for 2, and there's only the 2 players dropping and 2 players coming in. So it's only 2 new players each time.
I don't even get the 2 new players. I get the same much.
Yeah, that's true. Well, no, you got to play me. I was new.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's how come I got the win. I got to beat the newbie. There.
You got the baby seal.
Oh yeah, baby seal. So I don't think I'm playing in the next. I think I'm not playing for the rest of the year because I'm be traveling a lot.
Right.
For all the GTs, but I think I'm going to try to because the league we're in, for those that don't know, covers basically Southern California or LA metro area, basically. Just so
we don't have anybody outside LA and Orange County, right?
Correct. Nobody in North Mexico.
Although, I mean, that's LA County's how many tens of millions of people in LA County, so I think we're good.
It's LA County's like 10 million people.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a break from the league at least for the rest of the year, at least till after LVO.
What?
Probably
After
gonna
LVO?
try.
Good Lord.
Huh?
After LVO?
Yeah. That's only like 4 months, 5 months.
That's a long
It's like
time.
2 leagues. Well, what I'm going to do is try to build up not a league, but build up, be available to play on 40K nights.
So build up
GW
Tuesday
night,
40K night, yeah.
Yeah, or GW night, whatever they're going to call it. Or what do they do call it? I don't even know. Because what we've noticed happening is people come for their league games, and there's other people that come for pickup games, but there's nobody to play the pickup games because everybody's playing their league game.
Right.
So I'll probably just play the pickup games.
So join the league, guys.
Well, these are people that like one guy showed up recently that's he just moved from Oakland. And he's going to be in the Pasadena area for a year. So, and he was luckily there was someone available for him to play, but there's no guarantee that next week there'll be someone available.
Mm-hmm.
So I show up practically every week. I don't think I've missed a week yet since the store's opened. So
yeah, I think I'm still going to try to play Necrons in the next league. It just depends if the models I ordered get here in time.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're going to get here in time for me to build and paint and get practice games in for SoCal Open. So SoCal's probably going to be a night type list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm just trying to, get people going to the store and this happened at the old store too, where we'd have 40K night because of the way the pod system works. There was no incentive to play on Tuesday night, which was the 40K night. So there was only 3 or 4 tables going when we ran the league a different way, which gave an incentive to play on Tuesday night. Those like
Yeah.
twice as many games going on at that time.
Well, yeah, because you could come in, you could play 3 small games you wanted, 2 big games, and get points.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just sneezing my COVID all over the house.
Well, as long as it's there. So I kind of want to start getting that going again, and so we'll talk to the store and
Yeah, it makes sense.
and see. Yeah. So the like I said, the league ends this weekend. We'll probably put get the details down this coming week because next week I'll be out of town, but I'll still be there on Tuesday. So, but speaking of which, we do have locally we have a RTT coming up in October, and then the last GT of the year.
The RTT is the second Saturday.
Second Saturday.
Game
and
Empire
the GT is in
Pasadena.
November.
You're not going to
Old
correct me?
Town Showdown.
You're not going to correct me?
Which,
I said the wrong
I
store
didn't even
name.
hear what you said. I didn't hear what you said.
I said
Oh,
Game
nobody
Empire
shows up.
Pasadena. You're not even giving. You're not plugging the store name. You're not giving the dates. You're just railroading through, doing your own thing as usual. Just talk.
If it's as usual, then why do you expect anything different?
It's the second Saturday of October at Gameology Pasadena in the heart
Is
of
the
Old
RTT.
Town. God, the worst.
Is the RTT
That's the RTT.
40K, not the AOS is the first weekend.
Yes, AOS is the first weekend.
And then the GT, the 2-day GT for at Gameology in Pasadena is the second weekend in Saturday again, 2 days.
November
As you can
13th
see
and 14th.
from
The little graphic is up on the screen in the right-hand corner.
bottom. And so tickets are already on sale. Just look up Old Town Showdown on BCP and you'll be able to find it. Tickets are only $50. There's plenty of spots left. It's a really nice area. There's plenty of parking. There's a parking structure literally across the street. There's about 3 or 4 bars within walking distance, maybe more.
Yeah, more than that. And restaurants.
And a bunch of restaurants. You know, it's really nice.
If you come up with a bunch of your friends and there's plenty of stuff for you guys to do, there's plenty of places to stay and plenty of things for you to do in Old Town. Go out and do stuff. So,
yeah. So that's coming up. The store also has special discounts for armed forces veterans and first responders. So make sure you check them out and give them a visit at Gameology Pasadena. And remember, they also have the website gameologygames.com where you can order their GW products and other products. So they do have other game systems, things like that online. So,
and if you follow us on Facebook, we'll be promoting their events on the pages, and then also we'll be cross-promoting with Hammerhead Games. So hammerheadgames.net has events up in Sacramento, and so we'll be cross-promoting with them. They'll promote our stuff, we're going to promote their stuff. So you should be able to see a lot of what's going on in Central California and then Southern California.
yeah. Very good, John. Coming up next week is the Las Vegas team tournament. And tomorrow, because we're recording on a Thursday, if you're listening to this on Saturday, it's already too late.
Ha.
Friday is the last day for list
Rules questions?
Actually, it's list submission and which has its own issues, and model conversion approvals and any questions regarding any rules questions. So far, it's been mostly orc stuff, which is to be expected.
What? Orc players with janky conversions?
And some of them actually look pretty good.
Who's ever heard of an orc player with some crazy conversions?
There's I've had a few knight conversions questions, usually chaos knights. And then usually like a few space marine stuff and dark eldar, and it's all fine. I'm pretty lax, or a bit more lax when it comes to like not LVO. Because I know people are just, especially now, because people are trying to get back into the swing of things. And some of them actually look really good. there hasn't really been any like, I don't know. I mean, there was someone had a converted Dreadclaw, and which is fine though, as long as it's and I tell everybody, as long as it's more or less the same dimensions, like really close, then I'll usually approve it. So, but he had issues with the
size,
the size of the footprint of the model, because the Dreadclaw footprint is actually like from strut to strut, it's like 7 inches. Strut to hull, it's like a little over 6 inches. It's a pretty big footprint.
Airborne says, I can't just put a drop pod on its side. Outrageous.
Oh my god!
No, you can't. They're not the right size.
Well, I mean, there's also the issue of because the original model comes with a base, right. But now GW says you can measure to the hull.
Can or may?
It says you measure. It says you measure to the hull. I have to look at the actual rule.
English language, 3 words for 3 different things that are similar. Can, may, must.
Lead.
Read, read.
Yeah. Oh, English.
There.
So, God. Your.
Forged bodies can be proxies? Thought that was a serious. No, forged models can't be proxies. He's making his own. He made his own Dreadclaw.
Yeah, he made his own. He 3D printed a Dreadclaw.
What?
Yeah.
That's not okay.
It's not a GW event.
3D printers are not moral.
We are the only Catholic podcast. Oh man! All right. Well, we look for that. Also, just a reminder for those that are going, get your lists up if they're not already in. There has been some issues getting the people's teammates in the BCP app, so hopefully those will get fixed soon. But after tomorrow, I won't be answering any questions about your conversions or rules.
Mm-hmm.
For the rules questions, it's basically been mostly orcs and sisters players that have been asking the same rules questions.
So read the publicized stuff already?
You should have, or people should have, but apparently they're not. So,
one GW event and John turns against 3D prints. I don't remember ever being pro 3D print. I'm pretty sure that I've said in previous podcasts, particularly around LVO time, that 3D printing crap is not okay.
Well, that's not okay at LVO because GW was doing the stream.
No, it's not okay because they look like trash.
Oh, no. It was not
like
okay.
Absolute crap. Yeah. These people were 3D printing Chaplain dreads, and they barely qualified as dreads, let alone a Chaplain dread. Well, what do you mean this isn't acceptable? You just don't like 3D prints. No, I don't like your 3D print because it sucks.
No, I don't like you. We did have a policy in regards to 3D printing. That's just a
personal attack, Adam. I don't like their print, not them. That's another issue. I don't like them until I meet them. Then I don't like them.
Until they question your authority?
Yeah. Respect my authority.
So the measurement is the to and from either the model's hull or its base, whichever is closest.
Okay.
Which is the hull, because the flight stand, I believe, is less than 7 inches.
Well, unless you're staying near to the base underneath the model, in which case the base is closer. Did you fail geometry?
Which is more or less a moot point.
Should we bring up the Pythagorean theorem?
Oh my God. Well, okay. You're just saying that because someone did mention that in a rules question.
According to the Pythagorean theorem, the placement of the objectives in this mission is incorrect. Well, then you go by what the mission says because it's the mission. And it says where to place the objective.
Yeah, we had one of those. Then that was in regards to like the distance between the armies in the deployment zone.
Yeah.
a lot of questions about the truck boys. Luckily, GW did a stealth FAQ and answered that.
If I push my truck and a boy falls off, does it die?
If you ask me, I'll say yes during the
Nice.
tournament. And then I'll just say,
Like,
I got that confused with an old rule.
Forge the
Additionitis.
narrative. Forge the narrative.
For sisters, we got a lot of Ardent Shroud, basically. And those rulings I based off of the GW FAQ. Well, at least for one of them. The other one, I believe I talked to the other judges about the ruling for that one, for the Cherub. It was basically Cherub and Ardent Shroud. That's the two questions.
That's the only two questions that they ever get asked, and then those are the only two questions that don't appear in the FAQ. Thanks.
That is true. It's funny because I got asked.
What is the meaning of the acronym FAQ? Frequently asked questions. Hey, what are the most frequently asked questions for Adeptus Sororitas?
I can tell you.
Argent Shroud and Cherub. Hey, what? So that's going to be in the FAQ, right, GW? Yeah, about that.
Here's an errata.
Yeah.
Have fun with this errata.
Errata. This is for the Sisters White Dwarf Codex.
The digital codex.
Yeah.
One of the funny things is like I would ask a question. I would get asked a question, and then the answer to that question is literally three lines above.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. Well, after tomorrow, I don't have to worry about it until the actual tournament. There'll be about 4 or 5 judges at the tournament, so it should be okay. Hopefully, everything will be
4 or 5. I'm hoping for 4.5.
4.5. I forget.
4.5 judges would be good. You got John Cook on a scooter running around. You got half a judge.
True. I believe we have 4.
Okay.
But Reese could have got one and not told me yet. I don't know. You never know. So I'm excited. Can't wait for next week. It'll be fun. Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas is always fun.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So yeah. So for the Dreadclaw, I just told them that, hey, this. I basically told them what it just needs to be on this size base or whatever, because those struts really stretch out.
Yeah, it's true. Hobby-wise, you are currently working on your Thousand Sons?
Hobby-wise, I am painting the trim on my Thousand Sons because I can't. One thing about Chaos, apparently, after 6th edition, they love their trim.
Yes.
Love the banding.
So what makes it like Gothic?
I guess. No spikes, just trim, just banding.
Yep.
Oh my god, I miss the spike days.
Banding all over the place.
The spikes.
Yeah, I'm painting Necrons, and then I'm also got to build Megaras. Because I'm not gonna take Tim's Megara down to SoCal. I'm not gonna trust myself with that. So I have one I need to build. Again, a second one's on the way, so I can do 2 actual Megaras, and I don't have to trust myself with somebody's models that aren't mine.
Yeah,
Tim's Megara looks great, but I'm not gonna travel with it. That's not. I wouldn't even ask him. That's not really fair to him.
Yeah,
it's a forgeable
model. I tried. I need to get my guys painted before the next RTT next month. Because Tim did come by to learn for a learning game, and so I played with the Thousand Sons, and his army was beautiful. It was Caradons.
Yeah,
and it was heavily converted because Tim always heavily converts his army.
I think all the Storm Shields and the Terminators were the slab shields from Ogren.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're great.
And all his Centurions were the mechanical ambles from Necromunda.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it was really good.
So it was beautiful and made me feel really bad. I went home and cried because of my primered white Thousand Sons.
All you gotta do is put that ghost stuff on there and do some trim. Come on.
It's a lot of trim. It's a lot of trim.
You're the one who wants to play Chaos, man.
It wasn't like this back in the day.
I know. You gotta play Imperials. Less trim. Contrast goes a long way on Imperials.
It does. I'll wait. I'll wait for like maybe whenever the new guard codex comes out. I have a bunch of guard tanks.
So 10th edition.
Yeah. Well, it'll be 9th edition right before 10th.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course.
And then
okay, so it was leaked that it was leaked by GW in that one article that I'm a playtester. We don't actually know when the guard's coming out, so don't take that as us like we're not saying that. I don't want anybody getting in trouble or trying to get us in trouble. We're making a joke. We have no idea, none whatsoever. No. Just being funny. Oh, Alan's here. He says he's trying to get his army fully painted for the Vegas team tournament, including half-painted Magnus that he's had for 5 years. If you've had it for 5 years, it should be painted, man. Good God.
No comment. I can't comment on that. I have models that I've had for more than 5 years that are still unpainted. They're usually historical models, though.
They usually get sold if I have models sitting around unpainted for that long. They go on eBay and I get different models that I don't paint. I'm actually pretty good about painting my models.
No, I can.
I'm not gonna lie. I have a lot of painted stuff in that cabinet over there.
I'm good at building the models. Like I have a bunch of stuff that's built. It's just not painted.
See, I'm the opposite. I have tons of stuff not built. Because if I build it, I prime it, I paint it, I use it. But I have lots. I have Moraxes not built, Megara not built, the Lancer not built. I've got tons of Space Marine stuff not built. Yeah. But I have tons of Space Marine stuff built and painted in the cabinet. I've got three giant knights up there on the shelf, built and painted. I got a whole knight army at the store built and painted. But for me, nice. I don't like building. I finally come to that conclusion. I don't want to build models. It drives me nuts.
I don't. Yeah, for me, it's painting the models. Right. I just can't.
Yeah, Kara Quinn. I don't seem to ever leave them half done. They're either primed or finished. Like if I start painting prime models, I finish them. But like I don't go that. I don't know. Maybe I have OCD. I can't leave a model half painted. It's got to be finished.
Yeah. I'll get these done. They'll be done by the next RTT's in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah. So maybe they won't get done. I hope to get them because I can't go back to like regular chaos,
right?
Until they get their codex. I can't. Right. I'm too addicted to two and 3 wound models now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Once you've played Marines that have 3 wounds. Or on Terminators and 2 wounds on regular dudes. How could you possibly go back to playing Space Marines that have 1 wound? It doesn't make any sense. You just can't do it.
I got a little taste of the 2 wound juice, and so I can't go back.
It's like that little sip of old school opium in the 19th century. Your crazy doctor prescribed you some opium. You had that one sip, and next thing you knew, you're lying down smoking out of a clarinet.
Yep.
Patreon or Facebook questions? Do we have any of those?
No, I wanted to go over something really quick with.
Sure.
So something that came up was that because the games didn't go till turn 3, I allowed for the person who went second to score on the bottom of the turn.
You're saying a game didn't finish?
A game didn't finish. It didn't go to turn 5.
Okay.
The reason I allowed it was because the clock was not used. So I don't know what your thoughts on it. I know the mission book says, only it's on turn 5 where you score on the bottom.
Right. But
my thought process on allowing it is, and this is not to say anything bad against the players, but if you're not using the clock,
yep,
and you have someone that's, stalling for time or taking more time than they should, I don't feel like rewarding that player by punishing his opponent for not getting to score that turn.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think so in that case, I'm in favor of having a judge help you talk out the remainder of the game,
right?
Because that way it's more fair. You make sure that they're not doing anything egregious. The judge can make sure that you're not trying to hey, I'm gonna I need my CPs. No, you don't need your CP. You're going to literally just tell me what it is that you would do, and we'll figure out what things are important, and we'll go from there. Well, we might miss something. You're right. We might miss something because you should have finished your game, and you're not going to, so now we're doing this instead. Like, I think that in that case, it's probably fine to do that. Insisting on red carding both because they're snails? Sure, I can agree with that too, chat. Like, I can see multiple avenues here. Like, I think... So one of the things about judging multiple tournaments that have multiple formats now and, like, different judging philosophies, I don't think there's any one thing that just works. Like, clocks, sure, that can work. Having a judge help you talk out the end of the game, that can work. Penalizing, it can work. The thing is, there's no one system that's going to work for all circumstances. So there's no one size fits all fix for any of these things. So there's perfectly valid ways of handling things in multiple different styles. For me, allowing the one player to score at the bottom of the turn, even though it's not turn 5, sure. It's one solution of many possible ones. Maybe you don't have time to stand there and watch the players talk out their game because you're the lone judge at an 18-man RTT. Sure.
Right.
You might have time. So, okay, this is the final turn. Score it as if it's turn 5. Perfectly acceptable. Both of you players have been in trouble for the last 2 rounds playing slow. Here are your red cards. Bye. That's a possible thing, too, if that's where you want to go philosophy-wise in your judging. So, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but then you need to make sure that you're applying it equally and fairly. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. There's been games where I haven't done the score on the bottom for time. In my mind, like I said, if it's, especially if you come by and you know that one player is slow playing. But I mean, again, that could also depend on your history or knowledge of that particular player. And if they're using the clock, I'm more inclined to not allow the scoring on the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, if it's a clock game, absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
If they're using clocks, the game's over when the clock's done, and that's that. And like you're sticking to the clock rules. If it's not a clocked game, that's when you have to have, okay, well, which judging philosophy do you want to use? How do you want to apply it? As long as you apply it evenly and fairly, it's fine. But if they're on a clock, no way, dude. You ran out of time. You're done.
Yeah. It might be hard to do for the team tournament because there's so many players, but we'll have to discuss that before we start the tournament among the judges and see what we want to do, just for consistency's sake.
KR Quinn says that a lot of sports use clocks and a lot of different games use clocks. It makes it a lot easier. Then he said maybe cricket doesn't use a clock. What's cricket?
Is it a sport?
I don't know what cricket is. What's cricket?
Cricket is British baseball, basically. That's what it looks like to me.
What?
Yeah, like KR Quinn says.
British baseball.
Yeah.
They invented golf. Isn't that bad enough? I already can't get that little hole. I can't even get that little ball in the little hole on the golf course. It's like when it's 400 yards away.
That's a personal problem.
Look, golf's hard.
And that was Scottish, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And, man, I read a book about the history of golf, the beginning of golf, and I can't recall. I seem to remember everybody thinking it's Scottish, but it's not. But then I don't know if that's true or not.
Scottish were saying that.
Yeah.
Maybe they appropriated it.
I mean, I don't care. Whatever. It came from that island.
Maybe they won a war.
Somebody on that island invented golf. The only thing I think is harder than 9th edition 40K, playing golf.
Oh, my God.
Actually, I think playing 9th edition 40K for me is harder than playing golf. I think I might be better at golf. And I'm not very good at golf.
Oh my God.
I can beat my son regularly at 40K.
Okay. For now.
Yeah, I know, right?
But there's no questions from the Patreons this week, this episode.
Cool.
Any questions from the chat? Give them a few. In the meanwhile, they're hopefully thinking of questions. Just a reminder that we are part of the podcast Grand Alliance, as Danny had mentioned earlier in the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's Party at the All Points, which is an Age of Sigmar podcast. They're very informative about the different factions if you're just learning. And this is probably a good time to learn with the new edition. There's also Flying Monkey Wargaming podcast, the guys from the Midwest and Kansas area, familiar with that meta. And then there's also our show, TFG Radio, Focus Fire with Alan and Jeff, and on occasion Brandon Grant. Then there's
their last episode is particularly good. The last one they had Brandon on is particularly good. And like Brandon's doing this like segment. He's like doing a bit. And Jeff tries to derail him and it doesn't work. And it's hilarious to listen to Brandon just like railroad through somebody's attempt at derailing him. Because you're not even sure, like, is he doing a bit or is he not doing a bit? Because it's Brandon, right? It's particularly good. You should listen to I think it was the last episode, right?
It's the last episode.
It's the last episode, yeah. Last Focus Fire episode from our podcast Grand Alliance.
And then the last one is Pod Save the Imperium. And that is more lore discussion focus.
Mm-hmm.
So
there will be an episode of that this weekend. Look for it Saturday.
Okay, I'll be looking.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like there's any questions.
Nope.
So I think we'll call it here. Don't forget, as we mentioned before, our sponsors, Gameology Games, especially Gameology Games Pasadena. If you happen to be in the Pasadena area, come by and visit. If you happen to be on a Tuesday, come by and visit. There's at least 2 out of the 4 of us there playing 40K or something else.
Usually the 4 of us are there on Tuesdays, actually. More often than not. Like, we get the 4 of us in on Tuesday nights, then we get into this podcast bi-weekly.
Maybe we should change it to Tuesday.
No, because then we'll want to play on Thursdays and we won't show up Tuesdays for the podcast because we'll all be at the store playing. Honestly, I mean, to be real, we definitely prefer to play this game than sit on our computers and talk about them.
Yes.
Like
that's
we've all played lots and lots of 40K since things opened up around here again. So, and I much prefer that.
Yeah. And so also go to GameologyGames.com where you can see all the products and get them. They ship anywhere in the U.S. at least.
And if you're interested in coming to events at the store, go to Gameology Pasadena on Facebook to follow for the events. Or if it's only 40K and Sigmar you're looking for, following the Salty John page or the TFG Radio page will get you those event links too.
Yeah. And then, as John mentioned, cross promotion with Hammerhead Games. Mm-hmm. Just look up Hammerhead Games. Go to hammerheadgames.net or look up Hammerhead Games on Facebook or the Shark Tank on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we'll be promoting their events fairly soon. They do a monthly RTT also, and they do at least one. They've done at least one GT since reopening, and I don't know if Tony has plans for more.
I know he has things in the works. Tony's got a lot of stuff in the works. So
Tony,
if you're up in Sacramento, drop in. Tony will be more than happy to tell you all the stuff he's got coming up. Follow him on Facebook. You'll learn all about the stuff. Like, Tony's a great guy. He's got a lot of stuff going on. So if you're up there, you're a little bit spoiled to have somebody like Tony, I think, running something up there in Sacramento. It's a good store.
Mm-hmm. He also keeps on moving to a bigger place every so a lot.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, that's a good sign for the store, right? It's growing.
Yeah,
if you can afford to consistently move to a bigger and bigger spot, that's only good for the players. So,
yeah. So I believe that is it.
Mm-hmm.
Next show will be in 2 weeks after the Vegas team tournament, so we'll probably be talking about that. I'll let you guys know how that went.
I don't think I'll be here for that one. I'll be on my way to New Orleans.
Yeah, because I think that's the early.
I fly out that day, Thursday. So I'll be on my way to New Orleans to judge the GW tournament there.
The 30th?
Yeah. 30th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
Yeah, that's the New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. So you got to make sure that you actually get Tom to show up for a show.
I know.
And get Danny to stay.
That has to do with poor choice of
this kind of thing didn't happen when we used to record the episodes in person in my kitchen. or my dining room
True.
table.
We can go back to that.
It's getting cool enough again. Do you remember when we used to do it during the summer in there? Oh my god.
Because we couldn't have any of this stuff on.
Yeah, that was the worst.
Because we had the lights also. We had the fancy.
Yeah, I don't miss that at all.
No.
Just Adam by himself, Pocono Pete says.
I can do that.
Sure, why not?
That's not a problem.
We can do it. Sounds good.
I mean, they all depending what happens at the tournament, people will want to just hear about the tournament.
You could always just get a guest, get a judge who judged with you.
We could.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a problem either.
Yeah. So you have options. You just need to actually do the work. Get off your lazy butt and get it done. Run a show without me for once, Adam. You don't need me.
We have.
I
just needed Tom.
I know. They're never quite as good, and there's always technical difficulties.
Well, it's part of the charm.
Not to toot my own horn or anything, but
it's a feature, not a bug.
I really should play Adeptus Mechanicus, being the fact that I'm the only one in our group who understands technology.
Well, understand it well, at least.
That's why I play Knights.
Hey,
I play Mechanicus Knights, so there you go.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. See? Okay, we're rambling. End of the thing. Put us to bed.
John, Tom, Danny soundboard. Maybe it'll just be me and a soundboard. Okay, we'll call it there.
Okay.
John, any since we won't see you for a month, or the listeners won't, any advice for Orlando Open or New Orleans Open?
New Orleans Open?
Yeah. GW New Orleans Open, not Frontline New Orleans
not
Open.
Frontline, GW's one. No, just show up and have fun. The Orlando one was great. The Orlando one was amazing. Pocono Pete says no books. I did finish a book today. I actually finished a book today and posted about it on Instagram and Facebook. But if you're not friends with my personal pages, you didn't see it.
Oh.
It was In the Shadow of Liberty, and it's like a young adult nonfiction. I read it thinking I might use it for my 8th grade class, but decided against it. And just because of time constraints, I decided against it. Not that it was bad, but it was the story of 5 slaves and 4 presidents that they were owned by.
Yeah.
5 slaves and 4 presidents. So it was Washington, Jefferson, Madison, and Jackson.
Okay.
So, and it was good. It was really good. So if you don't mind, if you like a quick read and you enjoy history, it's a really good one. So there's your book recommendation, Pocono Pete.
There you go. I just got my World War I trench systems book.
Good Lord. Good Lord.
I love World War I.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. I love The Guns of August by Robert Tuchman, and I love the Dan Carlin Hardcore History Blueprint for Armageddon podcast. Yeah, it was good.
It's fun. It's a book about the World War I trench systems, but it's also a hobby book that tells you how to build those trench systems.
I managed to get 200 pages done in The Great Hunt, the second of the Wheel of Time series, yesterday. And then I looked, when I was done reading, I was like, man, I did 200 pages. And I looked, I'm like, I'm still only halfway through, and I'm at like page 500.
Halfway, you're like 1,000 pages to go.
I miss the days where I could literally just sit down and read like all day, because I could have finished the Wheel of Time books in a day, but I can't do that anymore. I can only read for like 1 or 2 hours at a time, and so it's harder to get through those giant ones. But I'm liking the second one, so I got to get ready for the Amazon series.
There you go. All right. Yep. Well, I believe we'll call it there.
Cool.
Good night, everybody, and have a pleasant tomorrow.
See you later.